my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C. Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. On this podcast, we talk about creating assets that produce passive income. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment and say what's good. On this episode, we have a special podcast feature with David, the CEO of Glitter Finance. What's good, David?
Hey, nice to be here.
Oh, most definitely. Happy to have you. So let's dive in. We're talking about Glitter Finance and it's a bridge protocol. So can you introduce yourself and talk about a little bit about where you're at in this world and
Sure.
dive in?
My name is David Dobrovitsky. I'm the CEO and founder of Glitter Finance. We are currently the only bridge connecting Algorand and Solana network. Our bridge produces wrapped tokens on both chains. We're also working towards being able to pretty much list any protocol. So not just the coins of the two networks, but also any token produced on either of these chains. We will be integrating other chains, introducing cross-chaining of NFTs, ultimately building out our own blockchain network. So it's a very large-scale project, very ambitious project, and we're very proud of the work that we've done and creating currently the only product on the market that does what it does.
Most definitely. Kudos to y'all, and always shout out to the Algo fam. Let's talk about your background a little bit. What is your role with Glitter Finance, and why are you a good fit for this role?
Well, outside of the fact that I created Glitter Finance, I am, I'm the CEO. So I have another co-founder. We basically had a vision to create a financial system within cryptocurrency that would go a long way to connecting normal end users, not just crypto insiders, to the benefits of crypto, the profits you can get out of DeFi. And so, building on that vision is really what my goal has been. The first stage of that vision was creating this bridge. I thought that, and I still think that Algorand and Solana networks are unique. They both have incredible qualities in different ways, but in ways that complement each other tremendously. So with Algorand, you're dealing pretty much with the best blockchain technology on the market, the most stable, the most secure technology that has never gone out. And a really unique ecosystem. There's tremendous builders in the ecosystem.
Yes.
To the point that when you look now at the ecosystem in Algorand, in DeFi, some of the most diverse and interesting offerings are there. Now, when you were talking about Solana, you're talking about multiple innovations. One of the innovations is how liquidity is shared within the Solana network. They solved the fragmentation of liquidity issue that all ecosystems face ultimately.
And that is fragmentation of liquidity.
Fragmentation of liquidity. So that is a huge innovation. The fact that if you try to execute an order on a minor DEX in Solana, that order can be executed via, let's say, the back end of Radium, is a huge innovation because it means on anywhere in the network, you can be doing major trades, Okay. And that is a significant innovation in terms of how liquidity is used, okay? Outside of that, Solana created a unique look, a unique feel. And let's face it, the Solana token is one of the historically strongest tokens in altcoin sector. So, I think between these two the innovations in these two networks, if you can just channel the strengths of both towards a product, you get something that, is unique and can really be beneficial to the ecosystem.
Thank you for that breakdown. There's a few things because I'm, of course, I'm bullish on Algorand. I have guys that I know that I interact with that are building on Solana. But
Hmm.
I want to talk about some of the issues that a lot of us are seeing. So
Sure.
Solana, I get this year so far in those 7, 8 months, it has been down a number of times,
Mm,
for
yep.
several
Yep.
hours. So how does that play a role? If I'm bridging vice versa from Algorand to Solana, what happens when that bridge is down? Or not the bridge, excuse me, when Solana goes down? How do
Yeah.
we navigate this?
So in our bridge, what we did is we created a sensor that basically senses what's happening with the network.
Okay.
And so it literally tells you, okay, the Solana network is experiencing congestion. You need to be careful.
Okay.
And then obviously we do have a mechanism by which we potentially can refund the user. So for example, you're bridging your algos and the network goes down and the transaction doesn't happen. We have sensors to see that there are failed transactions, and there's ways that you can contact us and we basically refund the transaction. So in
Okay.
terms of the safety for the user using our bridge, I think we did absolutely like 100%. To make sure that it's a solid product that you're not going to be sorry that you're using it.
Okay.
In terms of the network itself, it's difficult for me to talk for Solana. Um, I think that there was a lot of things done in Solana to push the network out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But Solana was one of those products that got enormous amounts of hype really early on, with tremendous VC backing, tremendous business momentum. And so when you get that, what sometimes happens is you really want to push the product out. Now I have to give it to them. They were great in that they said this is beta, We're
Yeah.
not even going to pretend that this is a finished product. We're not going to pretend that this is polished. This is beta, and all of that. But, is it problematic? Yeah, it is problematic. But it's difficult to compare a product like Solana to Algorand, because Algorand was very calmly developed in Boston in a very, very unhyped atmosphere, by a very, very serious company that wasn't trying to necessarily commercialize or even exploit its own technology towards commercialization quickly or too quickly, And so these are very different circumstances, You could compare Solana to being like a prodigy, in the music biz, like somebody who is like 5 years old and can do unbelievable things,
Sitting there.
and Algorand being like this a mature product that
Yeah.
had years to, I'm a big fan of basketball. Imagine somebody like Michael Jordan came out of North Carolina, right? I mean, he was basically at that point a great player entering the NBA, and then there's some players that enter NBA, from high school, and they get burned out because they enter quickly. And so I'm not saying Solana gets burned out, but I'm saying is that Solana, entered the NBA out of high school. So
That's a good way to put it, though.
there's gonna be issues,
Yeah.
and I hope that they resolve them.
Yeah, me too, man. For one, I'll say I love the Solana name. I wish I would have, paid attention a little bit more, because I definitely missed the run up in price action. That was crazy. But then overall, I'm seeing that the liquidity, Solana definitely has a lot of liquidity. So I understand why we do need to bridge your Ethereum and these different places, and show
Yeah.
Algorand, or show the community what they could do over on Algorand. Another question, right? Can you talk to the audience as well, as if they don't really know as much? I know you're onboarding. That's what we do a lot about over here. What is the use case of a wrapped asset on either, let's say, the wrapped algo? Because I know Algorand, you could usually, or before you were doing it in my algo, you could just wrap an asset, but no one really knew where we're going to use it. What is the use of a wrapped asset? And first, can you break a wrapped asset down, and then what's the use of it on either side of the blockchain?
Okay. So first of all, before I go into that, I will preface to say that I'm not telling anybody to buy anything that my company makes.
Fact.
And you need to do your own research. Okay, I'm not a financial analyst. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude who works with technology and has his own tiny startup that produces what we're working to be a great product.
Yes.
Having said all of that, what a wrapped asset is a representation of the original asset on a new chain. You know, in terms of our bridge, you pop a Solana into our vault, and on the Algorand side, an XSOL comes out, which is in essence a derivative, a representation of that asset in the Algorand ecosystem. And you know what it does is it's because we have pools on various dexes, you can then go and trade that asset, and you don't have to go into Solana, and you don't have to trade on their network if you don't want to.
Makes sense.
And vice versa with algos. The use case is, and again, this is not an attempt to sell a product, but the use case is always to to make money. that is the main use case.
Yeah.
One of the big advantages of what we're doing is, because Solana is such a strong token, if you introduce Solana in the Algorand ecosystem, it becomes one of the strongest tokens in the ecosystem. You know, it's very simple. It's a token that historically has never been really below $20. You know,
Solana.
And so it's pretty significant. And you know, at the slightest leaving of the bear market, it goes back to around 40, 42, 45.
Yep, where it's at now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very easy to make a large liquidity pool by value from a token like that. It's also really great to potentially trade a token like that. I'm just giving an opinion again.
Oh yeah,
but you can like, you know, I mean, you know, when Solana goes up, you can trade with Solana in the Algorand ecosystem instead of going to Sol.
Yes.
So in essence, you know, it's a very significant use case if you are a retail trader. It's also a significant use case potentially if you're an institution, because you get to play with tokens that are $40 in value, and so it's a lot easier to create a large liquidity pool for whatever purpose.
Makes
now
sense.
You say, but you can also trade BTC or Ethereum and all of that, and they're wrapped. Okay, that's great, but a BTC costs the retail trader $25,000 or more, sometimes less. You know, and so it's kind of like saying, yeah, but why do you need like Toyota when you have Maseratis? You know, Maseratis are lovely, but they're going to cost you like $50,000 and up. You know, but you know, a Solana is like, you know, price-wise is like a Toyota. You know, you get a quality product, you can trade it, it's easily accessible, and you know, it works. So that's the advantage of having Sol in the Algorand ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it's like, you know, we feel better to own something in a whole. So with a Bitcoin, most people know they can't buy a whole Bitcoin. Ethereum is even pushing it sometimes. So that's why I do love Algorand. I understand what you're saying with Sol. I can go get a whole Sol and then actually use it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into the bridge portion of it, because, you know, as you know, there's been a lot of hackings going on and things that are happening. And I even, you know, Silvio was talking about at the SALT conference about bridges and how Algorand could potentially, you know, be a great place for this with our technology here. Can you talk about what are you guys doing in terms of safety to secure this bridge that you're using?
Right. So both sides of the bridge underwent 2 audits by 2 different entities at this point. One of them is Certic, which is very famous. One of them is RD Auditors, which is a company that a lot of protocols use in Solana. They're Solana based, and we were introduced to them via our investors. So there's a trust factor there. You know, and there are other entities who looked at the code. There were multiple bug bounties with fairly significant rewards. The Algorand side was exposed to the Algorand developer community. The person who built or got us to the MVP was actually an Algorand developer ambassador, Algorand champion. So a lot of significant technical analysis went into creation and auditing of this. We also did penetration tests before we let the product out. So in terms of actual safety, I would say we went above and beyond in terms of, you know, if you look at a small company creating an incredibly complicated and very new type product, I think we went above and beyond. There were different things that we did to try to mitigate the hacks that we knew of. For example, the developers separated the function of the front end completely from the back end, so that we noticed that if they're not separate, the hackers can manipulate the front end to get into the back end. So that was one of the things that we did. There's a lot of things I could go through that's related to development. I think that's beyond the scope of the interview.
We're talking about
and the podcast, and so but basically a lot was done. I look at current bridge situation like 1920s and earlier United States banks being robbed. Again, it's very funny to see
trucks and shit.
Yeah, it's funny to see bankers now and TradFi folks post various things on LinkedIn after another hack happens, and you get these people and say, oh, look, another bridge got hacked. Oh, this can't possibly be sustainable. And you read that and you're like, brother, go to 1920s Chicago or before that to the Wild West. How many banks got robbed? All of them, and all the time. I mean, literally, the premise of the Wild West was created off of this. And again, all of this stuff is now myth and legend, and we very quickly forget, and we get people in suits strutting around pretending that everything has always been very stable and calm. But the reality is, you go back 150 years, and you get utter chaos and anarchy in banks, and so. A lot of bridges to a large extent are like banks to in the crypto world, because you put in money is held in a vault, and then a derivative is handed out based on what the bank has. That's what a bridge is. It's very, very close. I mean, and so to assume that completely new, revolutionary, and to a large degree experimental technology is going to be somehow impervious to the normal developmental cycle of any kind of system is lunacy. You have to accept the fact that when technology is new, when an invention is new in general, going outside just technology, there will be dangers involved. But again, it's kind of like, so let's say you're during the time when the first drivable car was created, right? I mean, would you say, I don't really want to drive that car, I prefer my horse and carriage, because that car is dangerous, because seatbelts weren't invented yet? I mean, that's where bridging is. That's where cross-chain technology is. Cross-chain technology is younger by far than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is not even old technology.
It's not even 15 yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think that people get very upset. People lose money. That's understandable. However, that doesn't change the merit of the tech, and doesn't change the fact that probably in the next 5 years to 10 years, it's going to be improved to the point where it's going to work like clockwork. And then we're going to be very grateful that when things got kind of difficult, we held on to this tech and gave it a chance, and allowed it to do its thing, allowed it to carry us forward.
Makes sense, man. Thank you for that. Because like my confidence is in the Algorand technology. So that always get me more excited and secure. And then yes, as time, because it goes Bitcoin, Ethereum, then Algorand in terms of like the Gen 3 blockchains. So I have a lot of confidence. Let's talk a little bit more about what y'all have coming next. The One Bridge. What is the One Bridge?
Well, the One Bridge is our bridge. We wanted to approach it with a sense of humor, and I'm a Tolkien fan, so we just call it the One Bridge. The One Bridge. Part of it was the sense of humor. Part of it, we just wanted to make fun of our competitors, but in reality, it's just our bridge. We're just having fun. We created what we feel is a very good product. We're going to be expanding it, and then. One of the major natural developments of the bridge is to create our own chain, because the blockchain is going to decentralize the bridge fully, and it's going to make it
create your own blockchain.
Yes, correct.
Like a side chain of Algorand.
I'm not sure it's going to be based on Algorand. Okay. It's going to be based on another tech, but it's the point of it is to at least in the earliest stage, is to completely decentralize the bridge. it'll allow us to make it just a lot more safe. And so that's kind of where we're going next. Beyond that, probably working to create our own ecosystem, building on all of the tech that we created. So, that's kind of where we're going. The whole point, again, the original mission of Glitter hasn't really changed. The idea of creating an ecosystem that brings, the profits of DeFi to normal end users in the most streamlined and easy way possible, potentially cutting out the need to trade, bringing in automation. That is still the goal.
Okay.
And that goes beyond, the various ecosystems that we're working on. It very much harkens to the mission of the project itself, which in itself creates its own ecosystem, because it's a fairly big mission. You know what I mean? It's not a mission for a layer 2 protocol. It goes beyond that. So that's where we're going, and that's what we'd like to achieve, and we're going to be working hard on it in this coming year.
Makes sense. It reminds me of what you're saying about your own blockchain. I studied the Cosmos ecosystem, right? And they have the inner blockchain protocol, the IBC, and each blockchain is its own blockchain. So, and I understand those security measures, and I use it. I like how they're doing that. So it makes sense if you guys are going similar in that direction.
Yes, we're very much going into the Cosmos, world. We like the technology. We feel that it works well. It's easy to build, and it will do the job. At the end of the day, technology is just a tool. That's really all it is.
Yeah, facts.
The technology for the sake of technology is pointless. But you need to use technology for a point, to accomplish a purpose. And ultimately, that's why it's so important to make sure that when you create a blockchain product, that product can be used by anybody.
Yep.
If a non-tech savvy mother of 4 somewhere can't use it, then it's not good tech. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Tech is supposed to serve the people. That's the point.
Yeah.
So when I came into blockchain and I worked in blockchain, I very much focused on that, because to me it was, and also just to my co-founder, it was very glaring that there was this situation where so much of blockchain is a techie club, and and it's not. I don't think that it's the right way to use tech. I think tech needs to be used towards a purpose, and if there's no higher purpose, then at the end of the day, nobody's sure what it's for, and that kind of stuff doesn't last. So if you want blockchain to last, if you want it to develop beyond the little provincial pockets of users that we have now, you need to make sure that anybody can use it. Anybody younger than the age of 50 should be able to use blockchain and easily, and DeFi and easily. And if that's not the case, then people who are creating are missing the point. So our point is to get there. We want to get there. We want to accomplish that. If that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. I'm pushing it. I want everyone to get on boarded, because I understand this borderless economy, finances, banking the unbanked. There's so much utility and use case that we need this to, happen basically. Let's slowly start to close out. All right. You're building a startup. Could you give some advice to the folks out here that are building their own startup, that are thinking about, going after funding, creating a, pitch decks and a product? Can you give a little advice about what they could do to, reach, a level of launch and having success?
The main thing that you need to do is you need to make it so that the investors and the VCs go to you and want your product. There's too much emphasis culturally that we have in pitching to VCs, 5-minute pitching, 3-minute pitching, 1-minute pitching, mass spamming, all of these different hello email, things on the websites of VCs. The whole point is they need to come to you and they need to want your product. And the energy that you put out is, you'd be just an absolute idiot not to invest in my product. I mean, I've met a couple of investors. Listen, I've fundraised enough where I've actually met investors that passed up opportunities to invest in, like Tesla, when it was coming up,
Yeah.
And the reality is, investors do feel the burn when they miss the opportunity. As a founder, it's your job to clearly put out the energy and describe to them when you're trying to raise money that's exactly what will happen to them if they don't invest in your startup, because you are the best. You got the product and you got the answer, period. And so that's really all what it's about. If you can tap into that, and if you can, kind of really, convey that within yourself and then project it outwards towards people and connect to them correctly, then you got it made. At the end of the day, that's how people get funded, and that's how great enterprises start. This is really, in my opinion, about how it actually works.
I mean, yeah, it's great advice, and you're doing it in real time.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
For sure. Okay, can you tell them where to find your platform, Glitter Finance? And I'm gonna put all the links in the description, and then we're gonna slowly get out of here.
So we got glitterfinance.org. That's the website of our ecosystem. You can go into our app through there. We have our Twitter page for every big announcement. We got our Telegram page, which you can find on our website, and we use it more as a customer service portal to make sure that our community can communicate with us.
Okay.
We also do Discord, although I personally don't use Discord. I'm not crazy about the UI.
I don't like it. I'm with you. I'd rather have Telegram.
But if you like Discord, I have some people there. They'll take in the information and they'll talk to you. And we do LinkedIn for corporate announcements, much more kind of formal stuff. Okay. So yeah, these are the main channels. Excellent.
Well, appreciate it. Perfect. Running out of time here. Okay. Well, I'm doing my outro. I appreciate you. Stay right here. Again, y'all, so make sure you go tap in on Glitter Finance. We cover a lot of things about bridges, Algorand, Solana, and of course, we want y'all to be onboarded onto Algorand and then use the best blockchain that's out there. So make sure y'all tap in. Go look up Glitter Finance. All the links will be in the description. As always, the video on YouTube is out first. A few weeks later, you will catch the audio experience on Spotify and Apple. All right, y'all. See Will with the Passive Income Network. Shout out to David and Glitter Finance. We're out of here. Peace. Algorand. See the crypto, a digital face. 2021 fiat replace. Had to have it. Bank account by Algorand. Large amounts. Digital left the physical space. The community had to be great. A digital wallet. Large amounts. It's about fame. Big bank account.